I was on Threads this morning and a woman posted, imagine if the male gaze was devotional rather than extractive. And I read that and I thought, man, I wish that more women knew that you get to decide how the male gaze feels for you, and you get to decide what energy is allowed into your protective space. And I know that may feel triggering and you might want to project onto me or tell me I don't understand. I understand. I understand that we live in a world that has not taught us how to work with energy, that has not taught us how innately powerful we all are. Women in particular, we have been taught to seek outside of ourselves, to give our power to someone else, to blame, to project, to seek to be protected. And that doesn't mean that protection won't come. But the reality is that when you're always seeking for protection, you are always making yourself a victim. Do you understand that? When you move through the world with innate power within you, and you have this energetic boundary that does not let in extractive energy, your entire world transforms. Welcome to the ROK Way of Healing, Expanding, Spiritually Transforming, and Mastering Energetics. I am your host, ROK, spiritual and leadership mentor, nervous system genius, clinically trained therapist, and all around energetic sorceress, which means I'm a master of energetics. And today we are talking about the energetics that happen when you are a beautiful woman, which we all are beautiful women moving through the world, and you allow the male gaze to be extractive. Notice I said you allow. Yes, I know that might piss you off so much. You might want to project and blame and tell me I don't get it. I get it. When women understand the power of who they are, and a man, let's just play this out. A man looks at you in an extractive way. What do? Do you contract? Do you get small? Do you hide? Do you feel violated? And I'm not saying that you won't feel violated, but when you're a woman in her power and a man looks at you in an extractive way, you know you get to decide if that man actually has access to you. And all you have to do is pull your energy back into you, turn your direction another way, and that man will go away. I know that might sound like it's not true, but it is. Because when you operate at this energetic frequency, very infrequently will you even experience that kind of energy coming towards you. Very infrequently will you even experience that kind of energy coming towards you. One of the things that I have always known is how to work with the energetics of the male gaze. Since I was very young, 16 years old, I remember wearing a short skirt to school. I remember the skirt. I still remember the skirt. It's like my meteorite. It was floral. It was super cute. It was kind of like a little, it wasn't totally like pleated, but it fanned out that way. So it was like A-line, but it was rayon material. And I was 16 probably, and I walked into school, and this one guy who was super hot, he was all over me, and I was like, oh, it's the skirt. And I knew on certain days I could handle that kind of attention, and I knew how to hold it. I knew how to hold it. And this guy who was super hot, he slept with everybody. But I wasn't available for that. And he knew that. And he treated me with nothing but respect. In fact, he used to drive me home every day after school and never tried to cross the boundaries with me. Never, not once. Because there was something in my energy that told him no. This is what we forget as women, as humans. We forget that we actually give consent to other people's energy if they have access to us in that way. And women, we really get pissed at this conversation because you feel like you're being blamed. You're not being blamed. You weren't taught how to do this. I don't know why I knew this at 16 years old. I think I'm birthed into the world with these codes, literally. It doesn't mean I don't have some situations from my teenage years that I'm like, that was maybe not the best situation. I can think of one in particular in the backwoods by the river where I'm like, yeah, that was not the best. But also, I still pulled myself away from it. Like, I had this inner knowing inside of me, like, nope, this isn't okay. Nope, this isn't okay. When you don't have that inner knowing, you allow that energy to get farther than you may want it to. And this will ask you to have immense personal power and nervous system safety and feel safe to actually trust that you have the energetic power. I know that's a big ask. Again, I know you're going to want to project on me and blame, but that doesn't do any good because you're so powerful. And we love these days to talk about the goddesses, right? To talk about Mary Magdalene and Isis and Hathor and Joan of Arc and to like really dig into the goddesses. But are you willing to embody the kind of power that those goddesses held? Are you willing to stand in the center of the fire and to do the energetic practices that those goddesses were doing? Because I promise you, they were not scrolling on their phone and bitching about some text from some guy. They were sitting in stillness and anchoring into the depths of their womb and practicing energetic mastery. And that's what I do in my world with my clients. We practice energetic mastery, and they will all tell you that as I have worked with them on this, their entire lives have transformed. I have one client, we just talked about this on a live last week. She's been with me for about 5 years, and she used to really attract a lot of predatory energy. And we broke that apart. She no longer attracts predatory energy. This is what happens when you shift your energetic vibration. You are no longer available for certain energy. We like to talk about this in terms of money or manifestation or embodying our next level. We will avoid talking about this in relationship to men and women. And this is doing us such a disservice because men and women are meant to come into divine cosmic union. That is our literal purpose together in this life. And so you have to create it within before you can create it outside. And we've not been taught that. Women have been taught chase the man, you need the man, you're going to die without the man. And so women seek outside of themselves in every turn because for thousands of years you were conditioned that you had to. In fact, I just read this morning that for 2000 years desire was considered a mental disorder because desired was called hysteria, and then you would be put on bed rest. Hysteria was taken out of the psychological diagnoses 45 years ago. I'm 47 years old, so that was in 1981 when I was 2. That's when they took this out. Like, are you kidding me? So women were told that their desires were a mental illness. Do you think that doesn't still live in your bloodline, in your DNA, in your cells, in your imprint in your body? That it was imprinted from your mother and your grandmother and your great grandmother and so on and so forth, and blah, 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 blah. Like, we have been taught to seek saving. We've been taught that our desires aren't safe. We've been taught that we have to reach outside and that we need to be protected. Now, as I said, sometimes protection will come. Sometimes something is happening and people will swoop in and protect you because you need it, and that is okay. But when we are moving through the world as though we need to be protected by someone else, we are lacking energetic sovereignty. And I just won't stand for that. Women are meant to be energetically sovereign. We're meant to be energetic masters. We are oracles, we are seers, we are priestesses. And in order to actually embody that, we have to look at all the sneaky ways that we play the victim, that we love our victim story, that we project onto men, that we blame men, that we create division with men, rather than creating inner union inner union within ourselves, and then creating union with men. Because that is the way forward. And so if a man's gaze feels extractive, what do you do with that? You push it out. You anchor in. You turn your energy, and you do not let yourself be available to it. And over time, you stop receiving extractive energy from men because you tell the universe you're not available for it. And then men start to shift because when they're extractive, we don't give them any fucking attention. And women are so innately powerful. And so when we know the power of who we are and we stop giving extractive men attention, men start showing up in adoration. They start doing a different level of work. And beautiful women, we can do this without having to even have conversation. This is what it means to be an oracle. This is what it means to be anchored to your womb and to your creation and to your energetic mastery. You create magic without even having to have our conversation because you hold a man to his divinity and you hold him in unconditional love, which is not weak. It's not giving in. It's not letting him do whatever the fuck he wants. It's looking at him even from afar, even if you're not standing in front of him, and breathing into the energy of who he is, if this is a specific man, and being like, I know you, I know who you are in your divinity, and it's not this person. It's not the wounds, it's not the addictions, it's not the extractive energy. I know who you are in your divinity. And you make yourself no longer available for extractive energy. You are only available for divinity, for adoration. Now, you may lose some men from your life if this is how you begin to relate. So you have to be ready for that. That's the thing with women. We hate to lose the men we love. But sometimes we have to lose the men we love to hold them to their divinity. And this doesn't mean shaming yourself for loving a man who wasn't showing up for you. This means loving him. And the most loving thing you do for yourself and for him at certain points in time is you walk away and you hold him in his divinity. And if he's meant to come back, he will. Now, when it comes to extractive men, when you're walking down the street, you get to decide what that looks and feels like. I wish you knew that. I wish you understood the innate power within you and that you don't have to be a victim to this kind of energy. When I read this from this woman, and she's someone who has a huge following, women are like falling all over themselves to work with her, and her messaging is filled with weakness and vulnerability, and she doesn't know it. She believes that she's empowering women, but there is a divisiveness to it. There is a hatred behind it. There is a disembodiment to the way that she is showing up. She doesn't know that because she's been conditioned as well. Now you might be thinking, well, what the fuck makes you so special? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I I was birthed into the world with these codes, and I have had to embody them over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I have walked through the fire a million times, and I know the answer is not divisiveness. The answer is not hatred. The answer is not hiding. The answer is not projecting, and it is not blaming. The answer is anchoring, telling the universe what you are energetically available for and what you're not, and then holding yourself to your divinity in that. And that will take some energetic mastery, which is what we do in the ROK world. We have not been taught how to work with our sexual energy, with the power and the potency of it, with our creation energy, with our life force energy, and it has done us such a disservice. We are disconnected from our true desires, not addictive desires. A desire can have an addictive charge behind it, a grasping, a needing more, a needing it to prove your worth, right? If you need anything outside of you to prove your worth, it is not a pure desire. It is an ego desire, and it is based upon your conditioning of unworthiness. In my world, I guide you to anchor to the purest potency of your desires, and it makes you feel lit up, juicy, and alive through every cell of your being. And when you're fueled by that energy, you create such beautiful magic in your life because you are running through the purest frequency that ever existed, which is creation energy, which is connected to sexual energy. And because we haven't been taught how to work with it, we're contracted, we're rushing, we're running, we're obsessing, we're ruminating, we're trying to get as small as possible because that makes us be controlled. We're controllable when we hate ourselves. We're controllable when we're shrinking. We're controllable when we don't feel juicy and lit up and alive. You know the kinds of bullying I've received from other women when I would dance freely in my younger years? I've had to do a lot of work around that. So that was where I had an aura. It's called an aura of a lack of defense. It was with other women. I would get bullied so badly, so triggering for other women. I had to do a lot of work on that so that that energetic vibration disappeared from my life. Like, we don't realize how much power we have. I can guide you there. My clients will tell you, I can guide you to this kind of energetic mastery where you are no longer a victim to this. Does this mean that immediately everything's going to click into place and you're all of a sudden going to have the most perfect partner? No, that's not what this means. This means you'll have energetic sovereignty. You'll be fueled by your potent, purest, most exciting desires. You'll be lit up and filled with Eris energy, and you'll create a magical life, and you'll be able to fall in love with the journey along the way. So if this is feeling interesting to you, if you are ready to create this kind of energetic mastery, energetic sovereignty, to feel lit up and juicy and alive and connect to your womb and to your pussy and to your sexual energy, and to understand how to move through the world embodied in your flirtatious maiden energy with a dark feminine protector and also anchored into being the matriarch in your life, the Juicy Nectarine is for you. Message me on Instagram at Yarrowkae, Yarrowkae. join us. I would love to have you there. It is such a beautiful program. The Portal July, which is my 12-month mentorship program, you receive that when you join. You receive 6 live calls, no, 5 live teaching calls, 4 live 2-hour calls, which are more individual processing in the group. You receive 2 weeks of Telegram. Like, it is such a potent and powerful program. This is designed to create deeper intimacy with you and your womb and your pussy and your sexual energy so that you can create with your desires and have intimacy with everyone in your life. So let me know if this calls to you. Thank you all for being here. Keep an open mind as you watch this one. I know it can be a little triggering, and I love you all, and I will see you soon.